speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron? Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron! Not that we start predetermining what we're going to say before we start recording, though, do we?
Not at all. That's the magic of the moment.
Do you know what it is? It's 10 minutes before I was trying to work out a fucking order to talk in.
Wait the minute. I've just dropped my script. Hold on.
Oh, fuck it, guys. Will we wing it just for another week?
Yeah, on you go.
Oh, well. Oh, good afternoon, fellow morons. I genuinely forgot about what I was going to say there. I was just going to say welcome. It's a good start, and I've not even had a drink yet. But welcome in. How are you guys doing tonight? You're all looking fresh-ish.
Buzzing. I'm fine.
You can't see me. I look like utter shit, and I'm starving.
Aye, I've been no well all week, so I feel like shit. But I'm here.
Did you have a batch of the man flu as well, Daniel? I suffered from that this week also.
Oh, I've been really no well, spewing and that, and see the amount of sweat coming off me. Been disgusting.
You even spewed your beard off.
So I had to shave my beard off because I kept being sick and like it was making me feel minging, so I just shaved it off.
Oh, thanks for that, man.
So, because obviously it's a podcast, guys, none of you can see that. Daniel will upload a picture of himself onto the Instagram so you can see what we are looking at just now.
From the waist down.
It's like something out of a scary movie.
I could, if I had my face is so pale, I could go for as the Crow for fancy dress, man.
You actually have a wee bit of Crow look of it, you actually.
Oh, I'll take that.
He looks dead, does he?
Looks like a corpse.
The man in purgatory found. Daniel said, "I'll take that as a bit worrying."
Yes. We need to run that past Ella to see if that's an improvement or not. Well, we touched on one of the movies that we are talking about tonight. We are going to be talking about The Crow, and the second movie, which is also Daniel's choice, as both of these were, is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. But let's just get shooting straight into it. Talk about The Crow to start with, since that seems topical of Burnsy insulting Daniel that way. The Crow came out in 1994, and Burnsy is going to talk about it first for being such an arsehole and insulting people.
Well, it's going to carry on with insulting anyway after watching this film. I thought this was a load of nonsense. It was. I had to watch over 2 sittings, even though it was only an hour and a half, less than 2 hours anyway long. I just thought it was really boring. Like, so guy dies, comes back alive via a crow, and just goes about starting killing folk, and then the film ends.
So your description is a little bit different to what IMDb does to pitch it, but not too dissimilar. A man brutally murdered comes back to life as an undead avenger of his and his fiance's murderer.
I was going to get to the stage, obviously, how and maybe I said died as if he sounded like a disease or something. He was brutally murdered along with his wife being raped, but
the film would have been better if he died of like cholera or something like that. Like
just he was really sweaty and he spewed his beard off.
Like he had a 4-day like flu, and we watched him like taking ill and getting progressively worse instead of the way that he died. I thought that would have been a bit better.
Who would they come back to avenge? The nurses that weren't very nice to him or something?
The film just would have ended. That would have been good. Just one of those.
I did actually message John a few days ago and just said, "Have you watched this?" Because I thought I found a message, so we didn't discuss about the film at all. But I just thought this is also really highly rated. Am I missing something? Because I thought if Sean says this is good, then I've obviously missed something, because me and him have sometimes got quite similar tastes. But it was just like so drawn out, predictable.
Can I just jump in for a wee second here, guys? And we have 7 days between recordings, right? And it's just 7 days. All we have to do is not talk to each other about the movies for 7 days, so we get
Well, I'm
fresh
gonna-
content.
I'm going to defend him here, right? Now, me and Burnsy don't talk about the films, but we do occasionally just text each other saying, "Have you watched that?" And generally, it means, "Have you watched this steaming pile of shit?" We don't expand on it. So there's been a couple
I'll
of
actually think
occasions
what I
where
said.
I
I've
think
texted
when
him
you
going,
say, have you watched it, there's about 45 question marks at the end.
no, it's literally just, "Have you watched," like, insert name of dog shit film here. It's never like we'll never text each other about after, like, off the back of a good film. Like we've
What me and
most
Sean
spoke-
messaged, I messaged him and said, I meant to ask, what did you make of the Crow? And then he replied back, utter garbage. I replied, absolute junk. That was literally as far as it went.
Sorry,
but-
I will stop interrupting you and let you explain your reasons why.
Well, I don't think there's much else to go by. It's like the storyline I thought was just. It was as if somebody just thought, right, that's an idea for a film, right? We'll not think about the rest of it. We'll just go with that. We'll just get they'll die. He'll come back, kill folk. He'll get help by help for a policeman who's a really good cop. Must be, since he's just letting some guy going about killing folk. That's a different way to do it, I guess. But I did read after it how I'm going to steal Hunter's trivia here, I'm sure, but how the main actor had died during filming.
What?
It's honest.
I was
Aye,
joking.
so-
I was actually talking to Kyle about this other week, but these Bunsies just ruined it.
Sorry, say that again?
Sorry, I'll explain
Right,
later on.
okay. So the only thing that I did want to question is that I did think Brandon Lee was good in the film, but obviously the film itself was just rotten. And I don't know whether people are just saying that it's a lot better film because of what happened to him. Although he gave a good acting performance, as everyone just given it a far higher mark or far better reviews than what they really should because of what happened to him, and obviously died not long after. Maybe that's why you might say that you enjoyed the film, but I just don't see it. It just if there was any kind of twist or any of that, it might have been a bit better, but you just knew what was happening from start to finish. Like, I want to be entertained when I watch something, not just be like, oh, he's killed that boy, move on to the next one, kill him. And that's the film finish. That was a good film. It was just a complete waste of 2 hours. Not up there with the very worst films we've watched, but not far behind them.
Well, Burnsy, how bold of you to be thrown out there. That it was quite shocking that you didn't know that Brandon Lee died in this film. I thought it was like a well-known thing, but there again,
Remember, I don't watch films though, so I don't know actors.
Please tell me you know who his dad is.
No.
Sammy Lee.
The ex-lawful assistant. You've got a wee bit of look of it, actually. To be fair.
He's got a look at Sammy Lee.
He's got his Uncle Big Sam.
No.
He must have took his height for his mum's side because it's no for Sammy's side.
I'm assuming obviously it's Bruce Lee, but that's just based on the surname, not because I had any knowledge of it at all.
When you say assuming, it's the fact that you just looked it up right now.
Aye, that too.
It's also quite what would you say, like weird, like your first when you hear like the surname Lee, most people go to Bruce Lee, but Bunzy automatically went to Sammy Lee first before Bruce Lee.
Oh no, it was Sean that said that. It wasn't me. I didn't say Sammy Lee.
You were thinking Sammy Lee though.
Guys, what is going on? I can assure you that not one person that listens outside of us five knows who Sammy Lee is.
Of course they will.
We've told them.
It's Brandon Lee's dad. It's Bruce Lee's brother. there was a love triangle going on there that Burnsy'd like to see a film made about.
I'm ready for that too.
Anyway, I've had enough of this film, so pass it over to Daniel.
Daniel, defend this film.
I'm not here to defend. So the reason I chose these two films this week was more just I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. I didn't really pick films that I thought were amazing. I did like this film when I was younger. It's very of its time. It's like super 90s. And it feels like watching an old 90s film. So it's been a while since we've spoke about this, but it seems to be 90s movies in particular don't seem to age all that well. I think this movie was more iconic for like the Crow character than the actual quality or content of the movie. I went on and for the wrestling fans, Sting copied his look for this, still does it to this day. And it was just such a big thing. Like every Halloween, you'd always get folk dressing up as him. And I think the fact that he died and there was all those conspiracies around it because he was shot, and it was blank bullet, a bit like the whole Alec Baldwin thing that happened recently. So I think all that definitely, like Burnsy said, added to people maybe saying this is better than it is. But it sounds like I'm slaying it. I do quite enjoy it. I guess it is quite simple, like Burnsy said, but it's an enjoyable film. Did anyone else pick up that Heath Ledger probably took a lot of inspiration for this?
You took my one, that was my talking point. I have noticed this.
Make a good point, I think.
Because it's been about 15 years since I've watched this. So I hadn't put the two and two together until this time rewatching it. And there's a particular scene where I'm assuming this is exactly what you were going to say, Hunter, so sorry. But there's a particular scene where he walks in and all the mob bosses are around the table.
Yeah.
Like the time bosses. And it's so similar to Christopher Nolan's same scene where the Joker walks in on all the crime bosses on the table. Obviously, what the action that transpires after it's different, but that was one of the things that really stuck out to me. So I think it looks cool. There's loads of really cool like still images. Like that big circular window's a great thing for a movie because it made for quite a lot of iconic scenes. And I think the young lassie's very good. I know Burnsy's not got a few things to say about the young actors, but I think she's great in this. And
you just made that sound so nonsense.
I know it did.
But I thought she was really good. Her relationship with the cop and with Daniel Lee or the Crow, or is it? What's his actual name? Eric Draven. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Eric Draven. Yeah.
So I quite enjoy it. It's very, very dark. You could tell that. So I think because he died with a few days of filming left, they had to change a few things and shove a lot of it together. And then I did read that there was supposed to be 2 sequels to this. It was meant to be a trilogy, and Daniel Lee was signed up for all 3. So to Burnsy's point earlier, there would have been more to the story to expand. Because I think it's a series of comic books.
Yeah, it's based on a comic book, isn't it?
I think he would have just got killed again and went and came alive again and went around and killed our folk then.
The Crow 2, it was a pigeon this time.
The Crow, the Pigeon, and the Magpie was the trilogy.
Because that was the storyline. Like, I agree with you though, Daniel, in terms of the actual. It was quite dark, but I wasn't scared at any point, even if it was meant to be. Maybe that was meant to build. There was no tension. I didn't feel because I felt as if you just knew there was never going to be any other outcome than how it panned out. That was the issue, I thought.
Aye, it is quite basic in its storytelling. But I think this movie's more about the aesthetic and how it looks, and that's why it's popular. I don't think there's many people that really think it's a wonderfully acted, great masterpiece or well-directed masterpiece. I'm pretty sure the director had only ever directed music videos before this. And this was his first ever film. So you can sort of tell it looks a bit like it's got the aesthetic like a music video.
That's what I was going to say.
It does sort of look like that. So I don't know. I just think it's quite cool and of its time. It's obviously quite low budget. And I just think the Crow character is pretty cool, and it's set a lot of things in motion for the style of sort of anti-hero. Just sort of been copied a million times. The sort of gothy looking, fucking handsome guy with a big leather coat or whatever. Like it's been copied to death. This, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's good, but it definitely has its place, I think, and I quite enjoyed watching it again.
The directors went on to direct some classics such as I, Robot,
Oh.
No In, and Gods of Egypt. That's pretty much it. But yes, you were right. Music videos, essentially, before that.
What did you think, Hunter? Sorry, I stole your Heath Ledger stuff. You can
Well,
expand
tell
on
you
it
what,
more.
aye, because as soon as I finished watching it, Laura was asking me how I was getting on doing it, and I texted her and says I'm getting proper Heath Ledger Joker vibes for this, and she went, "Oh, you mean the other way around?" As obviously Heath is obviously when he was locked himself away for 3 weeks, probably just sat and watched this like 20 hours a day and slept on the floor. Because obviously,
We watched this twice, and that was enough.
Twice over the 3 weeks. But I kind of similar to what you've said, Daniel. It has its place in its time, and it is it's probably came out at the end of that proper sort of grunge scene in America. And as you said, it's proper. You get that feel from it, as you've said, with the director being free music videos. I mean, I did enjoy the sort of the dark gothic aspects of it. I said some of the scenery, some of the cinematography, even the soundtrack. I thought was very of the time and fit in with the film as well. I mean, I normally associate The Cure like with songs like Friday I'm in Love and stuff like that, or proper happy upbeat tunes. So it was nice to hear. Obviously, I always thought, why is Robert Plant known as the king of the goths? It wasn't until you hear a couple of the songs on this, you're like, oh shit, they actually made darker music as well. It was the all fun and games. So again, obviously, it's a great performance, as it has been touched on by everyone so far with Brandon Lee's performance. And again, as I said, it's not. I mean, I think what I compare it to, which is maybe kind of similar time released. I mean, you've got something like Seven, which is not long after this, and it just kind of it's night and day compared to that. And the quality of production and storyline while still being so quite dark, with the aspects of the storyline. And even then, the cop just feels like a Wish Morgan Freeman day.
It's the guy from Ghostbusters. How dare you? He's good at this.
But I mean, I think it's just like there's a similar character in a film that's similar time release. I think that's what just kind of like it's like he's good, but there was so much better out there. But again, as you said, with being low budget, obviously they couldn't get the top dogs in, so they had to go for skating the barrel, a bit like Man United's transfer strategy over the last couple of years. So,
fuck.
I was going to just add, when you brought up the cop there, Hunter, I've never seen a cop actually help somebody to kill folk in a film before.
You've never watched a Marvel movie then?
No.
I've seen RoboCop.
Right, no,
about 600 folk.
That was just a bit stupid too, I thought. Like, what was he was good. He was actually one of the better people in the film, I thought, but
I think they're trying to portray the idea that this is a dystopian world where crime is rampant and the police have no power anymore.
It's kind of like a Gotham City almost type thing.
Right.
I mean, I think it's set in Detroit, like a alternate reality Detroit is where I think it's set.
I mean, the other question I was going to put out to the table on it as well is, did everyone know that pinpoint that when he was killed during the film, or did you have to wait until you found out later on that he was dead the whole time, all the way through? So obviously he was essentially like a living ghost. Who's going out doing these?
Oh, sorry, you mean the character? I thought you were talking about the actor. I'm like, well,
no. Sorry, Eric Draven, not Brandon Lee.
I'm just the ghost of Brandon Lee finishing some of the scenes after. Oh man!
No, I picked up quite early on. I can't remember.
I thought made it quite clear.
I thought like Laura texted me, like, did you notice when he died? I was like, I thought it was fairly obvious. So
right.
I thought I'd throw it out there just in case some others hadn't picked up on it so quick.
Oh well, sorry, Hunter. We all laughed at you on that one.
Yeah.
Just looking at some of the other movies that came out in 1994. I was looking at the box office to see how well this done in box office, and it was in the whole of 1994. It was the 26th most successful movie on the box office, 2 places ahead of Natural Born Killers.
That's another flop. That's garbage as well.
But that falls into that cult category, doesn't it?
You would all hate it. Sean would just give that
I've tried to watch it a few times and never finished it.
bad.
But it's above it's performed better than some classic movies like Beverly Hills Cop 3 and D2, The Mighty Ducks.
I think it was a popular. I think, like Bunzy mentioned, because of all the controversy around it, it made it. There was a lot of hype, so I think a lot of people went to watch it just based on the hype. And there was a lot of conspiracies at the time that Brandon Lee was murdered, something to do with his dad, all this sort of shit. So,
Do you know, it's an interesting movie. I've watched it twice in the last few weeks because I watched it again today because I felt like when I watched it the first time a few weeks back that I've not really picked up anything of did I like this, did I not like it. I don't think I was really paying that much attention to it, and I think I fell into the same trap again today where I know what happens in it. I've seen it several times before. It was one of those films that when I was younger, 9, 10, 11-year-old, that we had in the house, so I'd watch it all the time because I wasn't allowed to watch it. But it's not as scary as like a horror movie, so I don't know why I was so captivated by it. But maybe it's a character because the Crow character is a really interesting one. Hunter, just before I just start driveling out trivia before we move on to Sean, did you do trivia for this week?
No.
I know a few about this one anyway. I can fill some gaps at the end.
Well, I just wanted to jump in one at the moment because obviously it's called The Crow, but there's not actually any crows used in this movie. It's all ravens.
I think an actual crow looks too small on camera, and a raven's massive. Aye.
That's exactly the reason why. But for me, I thought that was quite funny. That it was one of the, like, nowadays they would just use a crow, wouldn't they, and probably super enhance it. But they just made an effort to let's just not use the bird in question. Sean, we've already had a sneak peek into your thoughts about this. Burnsy's already ruined the one bit that he had set up all week to come in about his dad. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I mean, it's no for me. Obviously, Burnsy's already kind of leaked the text messages between us.
Exposed.
Thanks for that. I'm pretty sure there'll be a screenshot on Instagram or something later on. But no, it's no for me at all. It felt very. I think I was actually going to bring up what Daniel said about like it felt like a big long music video, but without any songs. But it was. I just found it hard to watch because it was very of its time. It felt like a very shite series 1 episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer without the actual Vampire Slayer. And it's interesting again, go back to what Daniel said about thinking back to recent films that we've watched that were made in the 90s. I don't think I've enjoyed very many of them. I don't think a lot of them do stand the test of time for me personally anyway. But films for the 80s I think do stand the test of time a lot more. It's weird. The 90s was a weird time. But nah, I had a feeling that I wasn't going to enjoy it before. Just kind of, well, not before I watched it, sorry, but like within the first kind of 5 minutes or so. The opening scene reminded me of the Batman, the start of the Batman.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any link between they two, but it felt very much like it. Or the Batman felt like that. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think you see that a lot. Like this film, although most of us we're going to get a low score, but I think it's still inspired a lot of different ways of doing things, especially like any sort of dark aesthetic movies have copied quite a lot for this.
I mean, I think the actual idea of the film is a good one. I don't think that I just like for me it wasn't executed to the way that I would have liked it to have been. And that sounds pure fucking poncy as fuck, but like if Kel read out like what the film was about before I watched it, I thought, oh, that actually sounds quite good, but it just didn't turn out that way for me. I thought the wee lassie was good. I didn't particularly like the actual kind of the Crow character. It's just no for me. It's hard to explain, but I'm just not into that kind of thing, like kind of dark gothic stuff, and I don't know. I just feel myself switching off kind of through it, which is a shame. But it is what it is. It's just no for me. I'm sitting with Burnsy on this one. on his lap.
See,
well,
when
you know,
I had an image of Sean's Mosher dad dressing up as a crow for Halloween.
No, he dressed up as a boy for Nickelback.
I know he liked Nickelback, but Mosher's like to dress up as a crow for Halloween.
He didn't even like Nickelback. He liked that one song. Ruined my fucking childhood.
well, at least you were a future basketball star.
Yeah, you know.
Well, it's badminton now. I was hearing the badminton stars coming out.
I'm going to have a few games of badminton. I
Sean's-
bought a couple of rackets for Amazon.
Sean's been getting called out from everywhere. So if you are listening and you think yourself a bit of a ticket at badminton, Sean is the moron expert. Call him out.
You'll find me on Eurosport 2 on Thursday nights.
Still be a higher draw than any Jake Paul fight and Tommy Fury.
That's a nonsense. Let's move on for that.
Well, listen, you've aligned with Burnsy on your thoughts on this. Daniel and Scott Hunter have got some very similar shares on it as well, but I think I sit more with those two that I enjoyed it. Is it great? No. Is it the worst? No. It's one of those background movies that I lost track of paying attention to because the storyline is very, very basic. But there is some quite interesting trivia that I'll fire out here, considering Hunter's never done his job yet again. Well, we'll start off with my favourite ones, talking about people that it was potentially to play the role. So the person that wrote the comic books had one actor in mind to play the role, which wasn't Brandon Lee. Who would you guess at?
It's got Johnny Depp written all over it, hasn't it?
Well, ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Johnny Depp was the one that he wanted to play the role. Two actors turned it down. These won't come fresh off your tongues here. Was River Phoenix and Christian Slater turned it down before it ended up at Brandon Lee. The guy that wrote the comic book had to step in because the movie executives actually wanted it to be a musical starring Michael Jackson.
Fucking hell.
Could you imagine how different we would have had the Dark Knight if Michael Jackson had starred in The Crow instead?
Aye, it'd have been the Dark Knight in the 1980s, it'd have been the White Knight when it's with the time this was released.
Fuck's sake. Brandon Lee was unhappy with the way that his face baked looked when the makeup department applied it, so he applied it himself the night before so he could sleep on it and wake up with a naturally worn out look. So that was a creative choice from Brandon to look the way that he did. So Daniel's done the same, Burnsy. He's put his makeup on last night. He's looking a bit rough, but it was done on purpose. Originally, Fun Boy Michael Massey was not supposed to fire a gun at Brandon Lee's character, which ultimately led to his death. This was changed at the last minute by the director, who added it in.
This is where all the conspiracies and all this come from, that it wasn't even scripted and blah, blah, blah.
A last minute change. The actor, after killing Brandon Lee, took some time off of acting, and the next movie that he filmed after that was one that was mentioned, was Seven, was the next film that he took part in.
Wow.
According to Empire magazine, cocaine abuse was rampant on the set. There's no shock there, is there? With cameramen shooting whilst high, crew getting into the toilets between shots to snort, and people cutting around, it says. One member recalls hearing the sound of a sneeze on the set, and a very annoyed Brandon Lee quipped, "Someone just lost $50. Folks snorting left, right and centre. There's some remakes being in the works for this. There's a remake in 2018 that was due to come out that fell through after Jason Momoa pulled out of playing the starring role. But it has been announced as of April 2021. I did have this up in front of me, I've lost it. That it's going to be done again with Bill Skarsgård playing the role of the Crow.
He'd be good.
He'll be a good...
Yeah. Jason Momoa is too fucking big to be the Crow. I think Skarsgård would be much better.
So yeah, so he's he's going to be playing in that. So I think that'd be quite cool. It started filming last month.
Oh, it's actually...
I'm just going to put out there, I'm not going to watch that and going to have cinema trips.
Can't wait to watch it.
Might be good now, because like Sean said, the premise is good. It's just it wasn't all that well executed. It could be... I think that So there's a character that was supposed to be in the film from the comic that's like a skeleton. I think he's like the whatever fucking being actually brings him back to life, and he's explaining the plot as he was supposed to be explaining the plot as the movie goes, telling you what's happening, and they just ditched all that and just went from scene to scene. So I think if they remade it, it'd be cool to have more characters in it that they cut out.
The guy that's directing the remake of it is Rupert Sanders, who directed Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh fuck, it's gonna be bad.
And the only other film he's directed is Ghost in the Shell, which I've never even heard of.
It's a anime movie, I'm pretty sure.
The only two things that this boy's done, apart from a music video for 5, Slam Dunk the Funk.
What a contrast.
Not a lot of people know this, but that song was written about Sean's high school basketball career.
That's correct. And I've still not had any royalties for it as well.
Oh, brilliant, guys. Well, listen, let's get this signed off and get some scores written down for it. Daniel, we'll come to you first. It was your choice. What would you score this at?
I'm going to give it a 3.
A 3. Bunzy?
1.
A generous 1 from Bunzy. Hunter?
2.75. I'd have been a 3 if Morgan Freeman was cast.
Well, I'll give it a 2.5, a down the middle movie. And Sean?
It's 1 for me.
Were you taking a bite of your pizza there?
I was just lifting a slice up.
So go on then, Bunzy. What does that do for the overall scoring of The Crow?
2.05.
2.05, which I feel is a really popular score for when we've got quite a few movies on the list of a 2.05. I was looking down the list today, Daniel, just while I buy myself some time to find it. I did chuckle at myself thinking that The Labyrinth is on the second page of our scores.
That's okay, I wasn't delicate about
it. Kicked a cat though later on, didn't you? So 2.05 brings us into the joint 103 alongside 300, JFK and Us. Thankfully, it is ahead of Back to the Future Part 2. No bites, getting nothing there. He's too busy got a pizza slobbering down his face just now.
I told the pizza that's getting the bites, no you.
Move on, son, move on.
Well, listen, before we move on to the next movie, we had been asked a question previously about which actor or actress would play the morons in a movie about ourselves from being on Netflix. We've had some time to think about this. I'm really eager to hear what your thoughts have been. We're going to come to Hunter first. So, Hunter, who would you have playing you as an actor in a movie about you?
Right, I don't think the actual person exists. Of what essentially it would need to be would be Henry Cavill as the man from Uncle and Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover's Love Child would be the perfect. But if I had to pick, what maybe a Seth Rogen would maybe be that. Maybe Seth Rogen would be that child / me. So
Seth Rogen's not a bad shout, by the way.
Aye, I quite like that.
That's not bad. I've not seen the back of his head though properly to see if it matches up.
Oh, he's definitely got a hair in the spray can up there somewhere.
Bunzy, I'm interested to find out what you've come up with from this. I put a really good suggestion into the chat for who I think would play you. The boys put in a couple of suggestions, but before you tell us who you think it was, I suggested Rosie O'Donnell, which wasn't greeted with much. Sean and Sarah had also suggested Mr. Bean.
No, well,
it was a fictional character.
Yeah. When I actually
It's just
thought
the
about it,
idea.
I think Mr. Bean's actually quite bang on for me. Could give like loads of facial expressions and wouldn't have to say anything, so be happy with that.
Those hand movements as well. He's got that down.
Aye, when I'm drunk, my hands start going all over the place, so it's quite apt for that.
A couple of 6 and 2s and then that's you good to go.
My hands just start dancing on their own. Aye, so no, I think Sean and Sarah's suggestions actually very well done. Yours on the other hand was a heap of junk, but what you know.
That's unfair for Rosie. For myself, I mean, if I was picking, it'd have to be someone who's the absolute spitting image of me, like both in the way that they're built, the way that they act, the way that they are. Chuck Norris. No, I'm not getting that. He's not giving me that. No. I was going to go in with Brad Pitt or anything, but I thought it'd be a bit more realistic. Chuck Norris. But it was suggested for me, and it probably makes the most sense, as Hamish for Braveheart. So I'll be Brendan Gleeson.
Aye. A young Brendan Gleeson would work.
A fat ginger guy with a beard is essentially what you're slagging me off for. Shocking. I'll let Sean have another bite of his pizza. I'll let Sean have another bite of his pizza, and we'll come to you first, Daniel. You've already been announced that you're basically Eric Draven.
It's going to feel weird now because I look different than I did when I thought about this. But Viggo Mortensen's got that kind of drawn-in, gaunt face and gap in his teeth that I've got, and that sort of straggly hair and beard look in a lot of movies. So, and he's got quite a deep voice like me. So I'd go Viggo Mortensen because I quite like him.
You look like some sort like form of homeless Scandinavian.
Yeah. Aye, that's kind of. Have you ever seen the movie The Road? We should watch that on this.
Yes.
That look, that's what I was thinking. Him and that would play me in the movie.
So a dirty homeless beggar.
A dirty homeless man. Yeah.
Right, Sean. Let's take it to you. You finish it off with who's going to play you. I'm guessing what, Emily Blunt.
Michael Jordan.
I was not expecting Michael Jordan, to be honest. Jesus Christ. Right, let's just move on from that.
No, in all seriousness, it would have to be somebody pretty unspectacular. I did think about it like originally when the question was asked, but I never really came to any conclusion. I'm just going to go for Benedict Cumberbatch because he's got dark hair and he's pretty boring.
I'm not giving you that, Sean, because I put that in the group chat last week.
Did you?
You come up with one for yourself, please.
Well, you need to show me where you put that. You never put that.
The one suggestion that Laura put in to me for Sean was Jason Bateman. It was just that proper deadpan response from both of them.
Jason Bateman was my thought also for Sean. So
I'll go with that then. I'll go take that.
He just plays an absolute he just plays the most boring character in every film that he's ever been in.
So I'm very unspectacular. I'm pretty dull, boring, So cool.
Oh, bless you, Sean. Bless you. Well, let's get moving on to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which is interesting because we have had the original Planet of the Apes with my fellow birthday member Ben, who selected these movies for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a stark contrast to that Planet of the Apes that Ben awarded a 5 to. So Daniel's picked a one from 2011. So we've bypassed Wahlberg altogether and went to Franco. A substance designed to help the brain repair itself gives advanced intelligence to a chimpanzee who leads an ape uprising. We're going to go with the same original order, and we're going to come to Burnsy first.
So this one, when I read about the synopsis, I thought I would enjoy it. But it did surprise me. It was actually a lot better than I expected. There was a decent backstory at first to sort of set the scene with Will, his family life, and throughout it, I thought it was quite fast paced, which made it a lot better for me. If there was a lot of filler, and say the film was extended, then I would have probably came in with quite a poor review, because I think it sort of hit all the spots it needed to. It wasn't spectacular or anything like that for me, but that's mainly because of what it was about. I did struggle at points when chimpanzees were there, and I sort of got lost as to who was who. That's just because I don't know why. I was switching off. I didn't know that there was parts where I did get a wee bit lost. But I thought that the relationship between Caesar and Will, that they sort of portrayed that quite well throughout the story. You could sort of feel the love between Caesar and the family of Wills and Will himself. The ending, I thought, was just a bit too long for me. It was a bit more too over the top as well, and although it was quite obvious how it was going to end again, similar to the previous film, but this was obviously far better than that. But yeah, it was decent. It's just, I don't think there's a lot to really that I picked up with what I could actually talk about for the film, but yeah, it was kind of, I don't know what, I maybe expected a wee bit more enjoyment once I fully got into it, but it was definitely more enjoyable than when I first turned it on, because I thought it would have been a bit of a chore to watch it. And I did. It was definitely better than the first Planet of the Apes that we watched as well, because I think I came in and gave that didn't actually check, but I'm sure I gave that quite a low score when Ben was on. And I said I could see how people like these kind of films, though, but I think Daniel maybe will like it because it was his pick, etc. There'll be people who like these kind of films that give them high scores, and my score is going to be based on my enjoyment, and it's not a film that kind of general goes for me, but it was decent.
This is, for me, I watch this when I want to watch a series of films. I don't typically watch this on its own. Like I did a few weeks back when I'd mentioned to you guys that I was going to watch this. I watched all three of them back to back because it is a solid, good storyline that goes all the way through all three of them. And I think the films are designed in a way, though, that you do really need to watch the second and the third one to get the enjoyment out of the ones before it as well. So if I was to suggest anything, Birdsey, if you find it semi-decent to watch, is jump on to the next one and the next one after it, because it does flow really well. I like this movie. I like the way that it's filmed as well, because knowing that Andy Serkis plays Caesar as well, and you get to see the character moving. I was reading a little bit about how they filmed that, and it's dead interesting that they used chimpanzee movements, special effects, and Andy Serkis, who was still playing the part. I really like it. I've not been a James Franco fan ever, really, but this is the only thing I typically like him in. He's quite good in it. Definitely enjoyable for me. But we'll come to Daniel to get some thoughts from him.
I'll start by agreeing on James Franco. He actually takes 0.5 off my score for this. There's something about him I just don't like. He gives me the creeps, and he's.
Was he not sending pictures to underage girls? Is that maybe what it is?
Well, there's that as well. But just in general, before that all came out, I've just never liked him. He's always him being believable as like a smart scientist is impossible.
Do you know what's even worse? It's his wee brother who's then got a career off the back of him. He's even more annoying.
I didn't even know I had a wee brother that was in film.
He's in things like he's in a lot of Zac Efron's movies, is he not? Like Bad Neighbours or something like that.
Yeah, they type of films.
Right. I like that wee guy.
He's at least funny.
Aye.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, that's all I'm saying.
Aye.
Was he a creep as well?
Is he a creep?
He's definitely.
Sorry to sidetrack. Speaking of creeps, I seen a reel today. That's how cool I am. I'm still not on TikTok. A reel on Instagram of a clip of Brad Pitt slagging off Tarantino for filming folks' feet. So that's Sean, not long, Sean, until they start exposing him for all his mishaps.
Well, that's quite a big name to be doing that, so he must be listening to the podcast. Obviously, I flagged it up for him. He's went back, had a look, and fair play to him. He's got the platform to go and obviously make a change in these things. I don't yet, so good on him.
Like that yet. The man that doesn't want to be famous, but he wants the platform to expose Tarantino's mishaps.
Not just a platform, the same level as Brad Pitt.
That's some pedestal that you put yourself on there, Sean.
Yeah, that's funny.
I just see the Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Friel.
Imagine the headline. Podcast sensation, Friel blasts Tarantino feet.
And there's our title.
Podcast sensation.
Friel exposes fucking Tarantino. How do I go back to talking about a film about chimpanzees now? Fucking hell. Aye, but I'm glad Kyle brought up how it was filmed and stuff like that, because that was one of the things I thought would be quite a good talking point. But James Franco being believable as being a smart scientist doesn't work for me. It's weird. There was more. You got more emotion out of the CGI apes than you did out of James Franco's same fucking face, no matter what was going on. He just looked perfectly slightly confused. That's constant.
Just to jump in, Daniel, sorry, Bunty.
I was just going to say when at the start when James Franco was there, to me it was as if he was sort of in charge, but he didn't really do anything. So I didn't even feel as if he was actually that knowledgeable. It was other guys that were around him that were the ones that were actually. He was the one that was running with it to the extent maybe get all the credit, but the other ones that were below him was the ones that were actually able to feed him all this information, I thought, as well, which never crossed my mind at the start until you brought it up.
It's that permanently confused look in his face that he's got.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just going to say there, as part, I was reading the goofs on IMDb about it, and I was glad you said used the phrase the apes there, because Franco, as this super smart scientist, refers to them as monkeys throughout the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
and it says on there that any form of level of scientist in this would know that they're not monkeys and not to call them monkeys, but he gets to film a whole movie calling them it, and it gets signed off.
Yeah, he's a genius that invented the cure for Alzheimer's as well. Fucking that's that aside, I like everything else about this film. Like you said, Kyle, I went on and started watching the second one. I stopped myself because I was going to start getting confused about what to talk about here and where it ends. But I would definitely recommend going to watch the other ones because it is one big story, really, isn't it? It's a bit like Lord of the Rings. It's a trilogy that you need to sort of watch them all. But I think it looks amazing, this film. They do an amazing job. I found myself drawn in, and this gets more as you get into the sequels, but see when just the apes are interacting with each other, you find yourself quite drawn in when you don't see a human on screen for quite decent periods of time at parts of this movie. And it does a really good job of keeping you engaged. I think compared to the original Planet of the Apes, because we've really spoken about that yet, this is at least a watchable film. I think even more so when you go back. I can't remember what I scored it, but I think I should probably have scored it even lower because in retrospect, it was shit. It really was shit. And this does a great job actually telling a story about it, with the idea being that this is sort of a prequel to that old one. This is how it happened, is what they're trying to tell you, I suppose. But it's good. I didn't think it would be. I thought we would get some nice, comfortable 3s and 4s out of the group for this one. Was my prediction. So let's see. What did you think, Hunter?
I'm joking. No, kind of similar to what you've all said so far. I mean, we compare it to the first one we watched. I mean, it seems such a simple premise, but having the difference from having CGI apes and having them act like apes and communicate like apes compared to, I know it's a different time, it's generations ago when the first one was made, but there's just something, I don't know if it was cheesy or whatever, but the more authentic having apes act like apes rather than having apes, the full-size humans with masks on, talking. Just to let them be. I mean, they're still, no matter how many drugs or how much you super dope them, they're not just going to magically. I don't know how the film 2 and film 3 develop, but having them communicating in the Queen's English like they were in that first one just doesn't happen. If it evolves over time, tell the full story. Don't just have apes talking like probably speaking better English than us right now. So
Definitely.
and again,
See, this is where I get like Daniel said he was worried about. I'm blurred between what was 1, 2, and 3 because there is impactful points that they put out within the series of the monkeys using real words or using real signals or real gestures, but it's a big part of the storyline that's an impactful thing that's happened. And again, this I can't remember if it's 1, 2, or 3 what those bits come into.
Again, whatever, but you can see this sort of the evolution in Caesar throughout that. Obviously, he's picked up mannerisms, he's picked up slang language. It may happen at some point, but you can't just start a series of films off where these apes are speaking, as I said, fluent English. And the best is if they're evolving it, the way that Caesar's evolving in his film, he's probably fluent in about 12 languages by the end of the third film.
Speaks proper English to some of your mates.
But I kind of similar to what I mean. I haven't got round to watching 2 or 3, but there was so much in this that I did. There was enough that I will go back and definitely get to them once I have wrestled myself away from trying to blow nuclear power stations up from the inside out. So once I get some more free time on my hands, once this project's finished, I will definitely return to parts 2 and part 3 of this. Kind of similar to what you've said, Daniel, not even just his performance in this, but obviously as his background as a person, it's hard to take anything with James Franco in it that little bit serious. Again, as you said, it's just not believable as a brackets genius as he is in this. But as you said, Serkis is great in this, and I similar to what you said, Daniel, the interactions between the apes were so good. And it's like it's good to see them acting, and they're not in their natural habitat because obviously they're in captivity and all in that cage. But what I did find weird, I don't know if this is a sort of weird sort of universe where like California had here you get a dog pound or a cat pound, but there's like an ape pound. Like how many wild apes are roaming the streets of California?
Have you ever watched the Louis Theroux episode on exotic pets in America?
Joe Exotic.
Hundreds of chimpanzees. Like loads of folk have got chimpanzees. There's more tigers in Texas than there is in the rest of the world.
Fuck's sake.
There you go.
That has blown my mind.
Well, there we go. So let's move on to Sean. Sean's a resident creep expert, so he'll give us some more information about Franco.
He's taking a bit of pounding in here, isn't he? I love this film. I love all 3 of them. I went to the pictures to see each of them, but I've only seen them once, so it was good to go back and watch it. I'll be watching the other 2, and I'm looking forward to it, whether we cover them or no. I'll still be watching them because I can't really actually remember. I remember bits of the third one more than I do the second one, but I thought the first one was really good. I was just so drawn to Caesar, and I remember feeling like that the first time. I just think he's an animal, but he's just such a good character. Says 2 words, says like 3 words in it or something like that. He's just, I don't know, I just love it. I don't know what it is, but I absolutely hated the original Planet of the Apes when we done that, and it's because I'd already seen these and how good it could be given the time it was made. And as I think it was Hunter that said, or Daniel would say, whoever, obviously it was made years and years ago. But I just think this is absolutely brilliant, and it does really tell the story about how. I'm trying not to say monkeys now, because I put the fear of God into me. Fuck.
Don't want to sound like Franco.
I know. And how these chimps have obviously evolved through that kind of drug trial that was for Alzheimer's and stuff like that. I don't know. I just really, really like it. There's something that I really like about this. I don't know if it's like me going back to my evolution when I was a chimp and just resonating with these characters. But
shooting hoops and that.
No, I just really, really enjoy it. It was nice to see the evolution of what's his name, of Draco Malfoy as well. You know, we're going to talk about him again in a minute. So he's went from Hogwarts to being like a club rep in another film that we talk about, and obviously he was sick of being asked about the Harry Potter franchise, so he's now torturing apes somewhere in San Francisco. It's quite a come round for Draco, but he was an absolute cunt in this film, wasn't he? Just fucking bullying chimpanzees and all that.
Yeah.
Just really kind of horrible stuff. And it's also interesting to hear Burnsy say that he couldn't differentiate between the different characters of the apes and stuff like that. But having seen them all, like I can remember, like the name isn't yet, but it's Kubo. I think was Kubo. If it is Kubo, Koba. Koba's there, but I don't think he's called Koba in the film. But if you watch the other two, you'll get to know Koba in that.
Was that another one that had the experimental treatment, and then
the scar on his face?
Oh, who was? I thought that was the one. Remember, there was one that they went away, and then
no, that was
blood that he spat off the person that died later on in the film. I thought that was Koba. I've obviously completely wrong, but
maybe it was. I don't know. I can't remember Koba being mentioned in the film, but I recognise them.
Right.
But no, it's just and the moment at the end with Caesar and James Franco before when he says Caesar is home.
Mm-hmm.
It gets me, man. I don't know what it is, but it gets me. Like saying bye to a pet's never easy, but when the pet's alive and it just swings away for you, it must be really hard. So, and I didn't really mind James Franco in this, to be honest. I thought he'd done a role and he'd done it well. Thought there's any more to it than that. It's one and done for him. So, I'm quite surprised at the pounding he's taken. But for me, I thought it was all right. It was bearable. His dad, I forget. I always forget the actor's name.
John Leslie.
I don't like him. I've never ever liked him for when he was on. Was it? It was a comedy show.
Henderson's.
No.
Third Rock.
Aye, that was on Sky One all the time, and I used to hate it. And I've just never liked him. Just like a childhood thing. Just I hate it. Like weird.
Such a good actor.
I know, but I just don't like him. And I'll be honest as well. And I know that the actual Alzheimer's thing plays a part in the story, and it's important because obviously he's doing these things. He's wanting to push these trials because it's his dad that's affected by it. That's probably my least favourite bits of the film is anything that revolves around his dad. Like when he goes outside and he gets in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously, then Caesar's having to come out, and I'm just thinking, just getting Caesar and bother here and all that. So it's all about Caesar for me.
But I mean, that was probably one of my favourite scenes throughout that whole film, though, is because you know what's going to happen, and you know that the dad's in a bad place, and he's getting berated from somebody else, rightly so. Like somebody would come out.
Oh, that neighbour, man! I'm amazed that he has neighbour. I mean, how many times did he get harassed in that film? Like his car. Obviously, the dad went in the car. Before that, when Caesar first escaped, there was that incident. There was also an incident later on in the film where all the apes were swinging through the trees. Chimps and ape, fucking hell, man! All the chimps were swinging through the trees. Something happened to his car, or something happened there as well. But he took a doing. Right, he was a prick as well.
At what point does he go, fuck this, I need to move house?
I know. It's a nice house. You could get a lot of money for that as well.
He's the guy, he ends up with the monkey flu. He's the first guy with the monkey flu.
Yeah.
So.
He gets his comeuppance, John.
Yep.
He loses a finger, though.
I'm still laughing at Sean saying he got Caesar and bother. That was so funny.
I'm being, honestly, like, Caesar as a character, I just think is absolutely fantastic. I really do. I really like Caesar.
Well, that was Sean. It's good to hear you be so positive about a movie. I always get this fear that you're just going to hate everything that we ever watch. We all apart from you seem to hate James Franco in this, but the other two actors that were considered for the role, I don't know if they would have done a better job or not. Any guesses at who that would be?
I could see Ashton Kutcher being in that role.
Oh, Ashton Kutcher, Jesus Christ! I've never heard that name in a long time.
I think he would portray like a really kind of loving feeling towards animals. Like he could, if he was there and he loved Caesar, I would believe that he loved Caesar.
Dude, where's my monkey?
I was thinking Owen Wilson.
I was thinking Ben Affleck.
Burnsy's not got an eye.
I
He's
could see
Rosie
Ben Affleck
O'Donnell.
as well, aye.
Monty was like Sammy Lee.
No, the ones
He's
that were
just got Sammy
considered,
Lee then keep you up his in his head.
the ones that were touted to do the role instead was his Spider-Man counterpart, Tobey Maguire.
No, that would have been awful.
And the absolute loony arsehole that is Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf's good.
I think that would have been alright as well, aye. I think that would have been quite cool.
He is a nutter, but he's good. I like him.
You'd believe him if he tell you it was the monkey over the ape rather than what James Franco was telling you.
Shia LaBeouf would have prepared for that by living with chimpanzees for 6 months.
Even though he wasn't portraying the role of a chimpanzee in the film.
He was just so comfortable with the chimpanzees.
He'd be swinging down the trees with them.
Just popped up and blamed him for 6 months living with the apes.
Well, just a little bit more trivia, guys, that we've got on it here is it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Achievement in Visual Effects. It lost out to Hugo.
What the fuck's Hugo?
It's a cartoon, isn't it?
Aye.
Sounds like it.
Fuck's sake.
It was one of the first movies to use motion capture in an on-location setting. Previously, motion capture was limited to special studio setups with special motion cameras capturing in a very defined surroundings, but this was done on set. It's the second film in that Andy Serkis has played an ape, having previously portrayed the title character in King Kong in 2005. He also has motion capture actor for Gollum in the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings franchises, where he bit another character's hand. There we go. He's typecast, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He gets all of those sort of things. Ever since he did Gollum, he's like the guy that you go to for anything like this.
Oh, it's funny because he's a really good actor.
He directs now as well. He directed something quite big recently, I'm sure.
Oh, I did, I can't remember what it was.
As we're on a movie podcast, guys, you'd think that we'd know this kind of knowledge offhand.
We're not
see,
called fans of viewing movies, we're called fucking morons.
The amount of times that like I've talked to people about the podcast and they'll start mentioning random stuff about films I've never even heard of, and I'm like, no idea. No, but you do a movie podcast. I'm like, you just don't understand. It's not that at all.
My mum was each week. That's about it.
But we're good at stalling for time whilst we Google the answers, but he's directed Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and he's announced to direct Animal Farm as well.
I read that, that'll be good.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that, actually.
So he'll just play every character in it. Every animal. Keep the budget down with that one. Well, guys, that's it in terms of trivia. How about we get to scoring for Rise of the Planet of the Apes? Daniel, kick us off again.
I'm giving it a solid 4.
Solid 4. Burnsy?
2.25.
What was that, sorry?
2.25.
I wanted to make sure that first number there, so I was like, a 2? Interesting. Hunter?
3.75, but I would be willing to up that once I've seen the full trilogy.
We'll put an asterisk with your 3.75. Yep. I'll copy Daniel with the 4. Sean, we'll finish off with you.
4.5.
4.5. It is interesting the stark contrast that we can have. Like, we never get all 5 of us in agreement. It's so few and far between that we all unanimously like something really well. Burnsy, what does that do to the leaderboard?
Overall, that's a 3.7.
A 3.7, which puts that joint 35th alongside Boys in the Hood, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Rush Hour, The Departed, and The Hunt.
Good company.
Good company for that one. So that does bring us to the end of the Daniel's Weeks for Movies. Before we just finish up and head off, I just want to talk about a blog that had us on it recently. Daniel's probably thinking, shit, we've been meant to talk about this for a couple of weeks now. Clocked it in the emails today, Daniel. But if you want to go and have a look at the blog on feedspot.com, they actually had us a part of their 60 best UK movie podcasts for 2022. And we actually come in at number 34th on the list of the top 60. So that's feedspot.com. Pop on there, have a little look. It's quite cool to be featured on something like that, but it's not much things that are shouting about us. So thanks to them for putting us on their blog.
Also, will we get the people to vote for us for the UK's Listener's Choice Podcast Awards? I don't know what the link is.
There we go. We'll get some more of the links spammed on the socials, and we'll get it as a link as part of this podcast for this week as well. So if you are listening, the link will be down below and where you've clicked on to listen to us. So just pop on, type in the Morons Reviewing Movies, all one word. You'll find us on there, and give us a vote. We would greatly appreciate it. No wheel spin for us for tonight, guys. We've got the next 2 weeks worth of movies already lined up. Who can remember what we've got to review for next week's movies?
Girls Trip and Get Him to the Greek.
There we go. And whose females had selected those movies?
Who's
My female and your female.
There we go. My female and your female. That's it. That's their names. That'll do.
Laurie and Sarah, to be correct.
I would have remembered that.
Their names.
Well, as morons, will bid you farewell.
Bonsoir.
Right, guys, we need to record another one, so no fucking about the night, eh?
Can I go for a piss at least?
Aye, let's take a piss break. I keep seeing my face and getting a fright.
You're still recording.
You do look like you've got something wrong with you.
Are you still recording, Kel?
Sorry you don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron. Hey, moron.
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.